All right, before and after sliders. I think this is one of the coolest features or one of the coolest modules in Ultimate Add-ons for Beaver Builder. As you can see, it's two images side by side, and when you drag the slider over, it exposes one or the other. I think it's really, really cool. So you can have two different images, completely different. You can have two images which are the same, which may be highlighting some color or something along those lines. You can have two images of the same where you're just putting a filter over it, so they're two filtered images. You can have these same thing, like, just two different images, which just gives people a little something to interact with on your website. And again, these. So let's dive into before and after sliders. I think, and I've always wanted to use this on a site, and I'm actually going to in the next week or two. I think, not with these photos that I'm going to show. These are just some I had to get off Google just for the example. But I think this would work fantastic for before and after pictures for a malnutrition clinic, or maybe a village where you're putting a well in or something along those lines, so you can show the same landscape or the same person, and then 2, 3, 4 months later you show the same person and how they have improved. So what I mean is, I'll just jump on over to our demo page. Up here it is actually under extra add-ons. I don't know why they didn't put it in the creative module, but just if you're looking for it, it's before and after slider. So you grab that. You're going to select two images. This is my before, and then I'm going to grab my after. I'll let that load. Okay, so this is where it's important. If you are working directly with a nonprofit or with your organization, when you're taking images, it's important to try and get similar images for this kind of reason. I know it's hard to do in the time, but to match these up sometimes, it gives such an incredible impact, especially if you're doing before and after photos like this. So because this looks a little weird with having this line down the middle, I'm going to show you how we can kind of offset that to one side. So after you select your two images, if you want the before label text to be before and after, this is where you would change that here. I know over here they had, old president, new president. Before and after, I think, are the rest, or summer and winter, which is cool, showing the two different seasons. So that's there. So that's pretty much it for this little box here, the general. The next is just going to be the styling. So you can have the slider bar coming in horizontal or vertical, depending on your image. So for this image, it's definitely a horizontal. Overall alignment is just going to be where the box sits within its column. So just keep that centered. Move on hover. Yes. So that means you don't have to click it. You just kind of hover over it. Where these ones, you have to grab it and move it. So that's totally up to you. So this comparison handle offset, this is where you might want to change it. If your images are really not exactly the same, this is where you can offset it. So if we offset it to 0.03 or 0.08, just depending on how much or what image you want to show to start with. So you could kind of show a little bit more, just so you don't have those two heads exactly side by side. So that would work all right. That doesn't look too bad. Again, these are just some images that I quickly grabbed off Google just to show you for the example. So you can change that line, they call it the comparison handle. So you can change that to fit your theme. You can change the thickness, and then we have some advanced options. So you can go and change the width of that circle in the middle. So we could make that bigger. So you can make it bigger. The radius, those comparison triangles you could make a little bigger, which kind of give you the feel to move those each way. And you can change the color of them, and you could put a shadow on there if you want. Next one was just going to be the typography labels. You can't really see them too well on here, so you might want to give them a background, those labels. And let's keep the text white then. Sometimes you do have to save these because this is kind of like an it's a dynamically moving module. Sometimes you will have to kind of publish it to get the real view of it. Now that didn't change the background label. Again, this is just something that happens every now and again. So you can see that label color didn't take. So you just have to just make sure, yeah, you can see it briefly there. So sometimes this works in preview mode, sometimes it doesn't. So there you have it. You know, you got your two labels side by side there. Other images or other, so if you wanted to change the typography, again, very, very standard stuff. And that's kind of it for that, the slide, you know, the before and after. I think it's extremely powerful to be able to, what's the shadow? Okay, so that's just the outline of you can see there's a bit of a white shadow. So that's pretty much it for the before and after sliders. I think they're really, really powerful as long as you have the right images. These images, you know, you would have brought these in for, you would have brought these in two different images, one's black, one's white or red, well, one's got that color, one's black and white. I do think these are the winter and the summer is kind of cool. So if you have a non-profit, or you have, you know, a mission somewhere, you could get those photos and show the difference in the seasons and the trees and that kind of stuff. So I hope that was helpful.